Despite being on the world stage for a relatively short amount of time, Chris Farley made a lasting impression as one of the premier comic actors of his generation. Farley hit the big time with a 5-year run on Saturday Night Live and successfully made the transition to film acting with several beloved roles, including this week's episode, Tommy Boy. Sadly, Farley's life and career was tragically cut short by his untimely death on December 18th, 1997. While audiences widely remember Farley for his hilarious turn, manic motivational speaker Matt Foley, an aspiring Chippendales dancer opposite Patrick Swayze, and the lovable Tommy Boy in, of course, Tommy Boy, there was another side to the comedy legend that never made it to the screen. As is often the case with comedians, Farley had aspirations to explore more dramatic flair. Among the slate of projects he had lined up was a biopic about famed silent film star Roscoe Arbuckle. Born in 1887, Roscoe Arbuckle would make a name for himself performing in vaudeville, carnivals, and other traveling theater companies. One of 9 children of Mary E. Gordon and William Goodrich Arbuckle, he weighed in excess of 13 pounds at birth, and his father believed him to be illegitimate since both parents had slim builds. In a move worthy of Parent of the Year, he named his child after Senator Roscoe Conkling of New York, a notorious philanderer whom he despised. Arbuckle began his film career in July 1909 when he appeared in Ben's Kid. He appeared sporadically in one-reelers until 1913 and became a star with the Keystone Cops comedies. Arbuckle was remarkably agile and acrobatic. He was noted to have, quote, skipped up the stairs as lightly as Fred Astaire. His comedies are noted for rollicking and fast-paced with chase scenes and sight gags. Arbuckle was fond of the notorious pie in the face, a comedy cliche that has come to symbolize the silent era comedy itself. As his career grew, he had greater control over his work through writing and directing. And it was during his turn in the Keystone comedies that he acquired an unfortunate nickname that stuck with him for many years: Fatty. Beyond his films, Arbuckle made one of his greatest contributions to the film industry when he met a young and then unknown performer named Buster Keaton. With a keen eye for talent and a generous spirit, he believed in Keaton as a talent and took a chance in employing the aspiring actor. As Roscoe took on more responsibility as a filmmaker and actor, his star rose even more, and as he moved away from the physical comedy he was known for. By 1921, Roscoe was one of Hollywood's highest paid actors, pulling in $1 million annually, and yes, I checked, that is $17 million today. That same year, one of the film industry's first scandals erupted, and the 34-year-old Arbuckle found himself in the center of it. Courtesy of Paramount Pictures, Roscoe traveled to San Francisco to attend a Labor Day party. Set against the early days of Prohibition, he and a group of friends and acquaintances went on a 3-day bender at the St. Francis Hotel. Among the attendees was a 25-year-old aspiring actress, Virginia Rapp, and her friend, Maud Delmont. According to Delmont, shortly after Arbuckle and Rapp retreated to his private room, Rapp was heard screaming, appeared to be in pain, and claimed that Arbuckle assaulted her. After she was taken to the hospital, Rapp died on September 9th from a ruptured bladder. Media mogul William Randolph Hearst seized on the incident and published accusatory, lurid, and sensationalist headlines about the actor's alleged assault of Virginia Rapp. Though it was later determined that Maud Delmont had a history of engaging in fraud and extortion, her scathing and unverified testimony against Arbuckle essentially ended his career. While Arbuckle had support from friends like Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, and other Hollywood elites, the damage had been done. The negative publicity led to Hollywood distancing itself from Arbuckle. In today's parlance, Roscoe was canceled. Like many comedic actors, Farley wanted to stretch his performative wings and was set to play Arbuckle in a biopic titled Roscoe, a role that many said would have changed his career. In fact, those who read the script and attended Farley's table reads have said that his performance could have been Oscar-worthy. The Roscoe script had originally been offered to SNL alum and Farley inspiration John Belushi. After John Belushi's tragic passing, the script was then offered to John Candy, who passed shortly thereafter. And after Farley's passing, the script was thought of as, quote, cursed, and no plans have ever been made to bring Roscoe's life to the silver screen. Both Farley and Arbuckle struggled with self-esteem and pressure in the industry, finding solace in their desire to entertain and make people laugh. Farley, who was a master of physical comedy, said that the physical pain of falling onto tables and a lot of the physical comedy that he had done was often too much to bear, and of course, he sadly self-medicated. By agreeing to the Roscoe script, Farley saw the opportunity to tell Arbuckle's story and showcase his personal struggles and help people understand the real Chris Farley. Both Farley and Arbuckle had reservations about putting their physical girth to use for the entertainment of others. In dealing with the spotlight of fame, they wrestled with the pressure that always comes with celebrity. According to Tom Farley, Chris's brother, quote, as soon as he heard little bits and pieces about Arbuckle's life, he said, quote, this is me. It was the whole idea that nobody understands the real person underneath. I'm going to tell them about the real Roscoe Arbuckle, and maybe they'll understand the real Chris Farley. Chris had an innate and profound understanding of the man he was set to play. Arbuckle was regarded by those who knew him closely as a good-natured man. Chris's friends often described him as being a gentle giant who brought happiness to all those around him. Ultimately, Arbuckle would face 3 trials. The first 2 resulted in hung juries, and the third jury acquitted him. By this time, his films had been banned and newspapers had been filled for the past 7 months with stories of Hollywood orgies, murder, and sexual perversion. Delmont was touring the country, performing one-woman shows based on her involvement with the case and lecturing on the evils of Hollywood. Arbuckle testified as the final witness and maintained his denial of any wrongdoing. During closing statements, his defense attacked those who believed Delmont's outlandish charges. The jury took only 6 minutes to return with a unanimous verdict of not guilty, and 5 of those minutes were spent writing a formal statement of apology to Arbuckle for subjecting him to the ordeal, a dramatic and unusual gesture. On April 18th, 1922, 6 days after Arbuckle's acquittal, William Hayes, of the infamous Hays Code I spoke about for our It Happened One Night episode, issued a lifetime ban that would prohibit Arbuckle from film work. Hays requested, or demanded, I like to think, that all showings and bookings of Arbuckle's films be canceled, and exhibitors complied. In December of the same year, under public pressure, Hays rescinded the ban. However, Arbuckle remained unemployable. And Arbuckle tried returning to filmmaking, but industry resistance to distributing his films lingered long after his acquittal. And sadly, he self-medicated as well. He retreated into alcohol, and in the words of his first wife, quote, Roscoe only seemed to find solace and comfort in a bottle. To his credit, Keaton attempted to help Arbuckle by employing him for his films. Eventually, Arbuckle worked as a director under the pseudonym of William Goodrich, who you remember was his father's first and middle name. Keaton, never one to give up a good pun, later claimed that the name was derived from the satirical alias William B. Good. In 1932, Arbuckle signed a contract with Warner Brothers under his own name in a series of 6 two-reel comedies to be filmed at the Vitaphone Film Studios in New York. On June 28, 1933, Arbuckle had finished filming In the Dough. The next day, he signed a contract with Warner Brothers to star in a feature-length film. That night, he met with friends to celebrate his first wedding anniversary and the new contract when he reportedly said, quote, "This is the best day of my life." He suffered a heart attack later that night and died in his sleep at the age of 46. For his contributions to the film industry in 1960, 27 years after his death, Arbuckle was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Chris Farley earned his star in 2005. Both men's careers were cut short, but their legacies remain resilient against time and rumor. On a personal note, I cried when I heard of Chris's passing December 18th, 1997. MTV News, my trusted news source at the time, broke the story shortly after I got home from school, and I remember crying as they showed footage of his comedic antics and quotes from some of his friends. It wasn't until years later that I discovered movies from the silent era and Roscoe's impact on early Hollywood and beyond. And both men gave so much to their audiences in their era and beyond. Farley's legacy lives on through his timeless comedy and enduring influence on generations of comedians who continue to be inspired by his unique brand of physical comedy and slapstick humor, a beloved and enduring form of entertainment that appeals to audiences of all ages with a timeless humor and universal appeal. So go ahead and give that subscribe button a nice pie in the face so you never miss anything. We appreciate our YouTube viewers, our Facebook followers, and our podcast listeners. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you soon.